Good morning, everyone. There we are. Good response. Excellent. Yeah, it looks like we're in for a very busy day today. Starting with me, as it says, my name is Gary Townley. I work for the Business Outreach and Education Department of the wonderfully named Intellectual Property Office. Now, the first confusing thing is for a lot of people is, who are the Intellectual Property Office? Well, if your eyesight is extremely good, right down the bottom in very little letters you will see that the Intellectual Property Office is an operating name of the Patent Office. We were the Patent Office for around 154 years until the powers that be decided that really patents really didn't reflect what we did, because we cover the whole range of intellectual property rights, just not patents. We cover trademarks, designs, etc., etc. So we changed our name about 2 years ago now to the Intellectual Property Office. Now, as it says, we are a government agency. Again, another bit of confusion there. Is it, are you a private individual company? No, we are a part of government. We're an executive agency, and currently we're now part of the Department of Business, Innovation and Skills, a newly formed department. In fact, it was only formed about a week ago, last Monday, when amalgamation of 2 other departments. So a fairly new department as well. We have around 850 staff. We are based in Newport in South Wales, and we still retain a small London office. But we're a national office. We cover, the whole of the UK, and we come to Birmingham fairly frequently, and we probably would refer to it as our second home. But in the light of the MP's debacle, second home's probably not the best thing to mention at the current time. So there we are. Our task is to stimulate innovation through the use of intellectual property rights. And this morning, in the next sort of hour or so, hopefully we'll cover all the different areas individually. If you have any questions, please, feel free to shout out as I go along, or keep them to the end if you so wish, and call me. I'll be here, for the rest of the day anyway. So that's our role. Why we come out and do such things is because we did a survey, a baseline survey, about 18 months ago, and the results which came back were fairly alarming, in that 96% of UK businesses actually don't know the value of their intellectual property rights. They know they own something. They might own a trademark or a piece of copyright, something along those lines, but they don't actually know what the value is of those rights. Can't put them on their returns to their taxman or their accountant to say, well, it's actually worth this amount of money to us. Only 11% of businesses know that if you tell someone about your brand new idea before you've actually filed your application for a patent, that'll actually stop you from getting a patent. And we do, as I say, we do a number of seminars, exhibitions all around the country. The last major exhibition we did was in Excel in London, and as part of the exhibition they had a Dragon's Den type scenario where people would go along, tell the dragons about their brand new ideas, and hopefully at the end they would win a prize, first, second, third prizes, etc. Well, the guy that won the first prize, had a really, really good idea. He won the prize of about £10,000, I think it was, and then made his way over to our stand and said, well, okay, I now actually want to patent my idea. Haven't you just told the whole arena exactly what you are doing? Oh yes, you're not going to get a patent for it. It's now in the public domain. So you've got to be very careful, if you are talking to people, use a confidentiality agreement. 74% of businesses couldn't correctly identify the owner of something when you had something made for you. So you go out, you get to your web designer, ask him to design a website for you, pay him his money accordingly. Who owns your website? Is it him? Is it you because you paid for it? Or is it him because he's created it for you? Again, 74% of businesses didn't know. Couldn't tell you who owned it. And only 4% of UK businesses have an intellectual property policy. That is a portfolio of rights that they own. They know who's using their trademarks. They know whose trademarks they're using. They know the value of their rights, etc., etc. And only 4% of UK businesses actually have got that in place. So fairly alarming statistics. So the first thing then we often get asked is, well, what is intellectual property? I own intellectual property. Yes, you probably do, but what type of intellectual property do you own? Intellectual property really is just a collective term for a bundle of rights that small businesses create every day in their going about doing their jobs, doing their business. And it manifests itself in things like confidentiality, trademarks, copyright, patents, design right, and registered designs. Collectively, they are intellectual property. Individually, you will own some, maybe all, of those rights. Now, some of them are free. You don't pay any money, you don't fill any forms. They exist as soon as you have created. Others, you fill in some forms, pay some money, and at the end of the day, you'll get a certificate which says, I own this piece of intellectual property. And in fact, the ones on the right-hand side of the screen are absolutely free. Confidentiality, copyright, design right, absolutely free. You don't pay any money. As soon as you create things, they're covered by those, you have them automatically. The ones on the left-hand side, or the right-hand side of the screen as you're looking at it, trademarks, patents, registered designs, fill in forms, submit them to us at the office, we examine, and eventually, hopefully, you will get a registered right, a certificate that shows you own one of those rights. Okay, for the next sort of 40, 50 minutes or so, we're just going to go through those rights to try and make you understand better what they're all about, how you apply them, how you use them. And the first one we are going to look at is that of a trademark. Okay? Probably the most recognisable of intellectual property rights because we use them all the time, and every business will own one. Okay? Irrespective of whether you filed it or not, you will have a trademark. Okay? It's the name that people recognise your service or your business. Yeah? So if I want to go back to get more of what you produce or the service you do, where do I go to get that? I go back to X. X is your trademark. Irrespective of whether you filed it or not, you have one. Okay?